and you can kind of see that we're kind of like slowly like stepping.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this grease pencil tutorial, we are going to go over palettes. This is going to be really basic. If you want to do advanced stuff, I'll kind of touch it. I'm still learning about grease pencils, use of palettes as well, but they're super important. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so the first thing that we are going to do is open up a new document. So we'll save it as I always do. And now that we are in a new document, let's go ahead and create the palette. So if you come over here and look, you actually, in the tool tab, you're like, oh wow, look, there's a palette right here. Why can't I access it? That's because we are on the material settings. If you switch over to Vertex colors, you now have access to creating your own palette. Now the thing about the difference between materials and vertex colors, I'll just kind of quickly go over it. So in a material, you come over to the material tab, you already have preset materials, and so I'll turn off the strength and I'll up it, I'll turn off the radius. So hold F to up the brush. So we'll go ahead and draw. This is like a material. Now the pro to the materials is that you can just dynamically change the material. So let me just kind of like draw something over here, so we can dynamically change the color and everything updates. So that goes across the whole document. It's like a universal color. So that's really cool. Now if we go back to the toolbar, if we switch over here to vertex colors and we draw, and we just pick something from the palette, you see that it's red. Now we come back to the material, there's no material, so if you wanted to change that, you would actually have to vertex paint it, or just erase it and redraw it. And we won't really go into vertex painting, but I'll kind of like quickly show what it looks like. So you'd have to change the actual stroke by vertex painting over it. So there's like kind of the quick pros and cons. I think it's kind of silly that you can't have a palette that I've seen for a material without having just like a reference palette that you import, like an image that you import, and then like eyedrop tool. So there's workarounds for it, but basically you would just import an image as a plane and then just use the eyedropper tool and your materials to create a palette for yourself. Anyways, moving back to what this video is about. So yeah, a palette. So if you want to come down here, remember the first thing that you want to do is make sure that you're in draw mode. So we're in draw mode, switch it from material to vertex color, and now that we're in there, we can come over here and either push the X or I think you just push the X. Yeah, so push the X and then create a new palette, and you can name it whatever you want. So let's just do first palette. Hopefully I spelled that right. Probably not. Alright, and so I like this color, this red. It's a nice red, so I'm going to actually push the plus, and now it has been added to my palettes. Now the cool thing about palettes compared to materials is that you don't have to get overloaded with materials, like having 1,000 materials. So if we go ahead and just kind of draw something right here like this, and another thing is that we can go ahead and lower this mix factor, and when we do this, we're mixing the primary and secondary colors that are already selected. So in this instance, I'm mixing red and black, so now it's going to be a darker shade, a little more purpley. We've come down, we're mixing it more. If you ever painted, this is kind of what the effects is going to be. We'll mix it down a lot, and you can kind of see that we're kind of like slowly like stepping in a more blue way. And I think I don't know if this is actually true black, but yeah. Anyways, so moving forward, so you can do a cool little, you just created like 4 versions of a color like right there. So yeah, so now that we come down, and let's say that we want to add another color to our palette. Alright, cool. So we'll come over and be like, hey, I want this color purple. So we'll hit the eyedropper tool and then we'll eyedrop it. Now the problem is, if you look over here, it has now actually created a material with that color, or it's really something close to that color. It's not exactly that color. We'd have to like darken it to like this to make it that color. But yeah, so that's kind of the problem when it comes to the use of palettes. So moving back into the palette, okay, so I found the solution. So if you want to change the color, you just select the color and then hit this eyedropper inside and then select it. And then when you select it, it won't create a new material. Then we'll add it to the palette and then we'll do it again. We'll select this, grab that, add it to the palette, and yeah. And another thing, if you are sharing this file, I'm not too sure if you will lose the data when you transfer it, but just to be safe, it would come down here into external data and then automatically pack into a .blend file. So it just packs everything. I'm pretty sure it'll save your palettes, but just to make sure when you do export that it does save it. And so yeah, so basically that's the use of palettes. There's not a whole lot to it. I hope this video helps you. I mean, I was really struggling with using palettes. I don't really use palettes, but I think there's a good mixture between using materials and using palettes from the Vertex colors. Now just be mindful of the limitations of palettes, because of course you can't dynamically change everything. You're going to have to go in there and individually Vertex paint the ones that you do use as a palette. But if you do choose to use materials, you can just use the eyedropper tool and it will save the material automatically for you. So it's just kind of your choice. It's faster to use the Vertex color sometimes, but then it's smarter to use some materials sometimes. So if you're painting, I would use Vertex colors for a stagnant background, and then if you just need like a normal character and stuff, I would just stick with materials. So yeah, I hope this video has helped you. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will post another video soon, and I'll see you guys later.